This review is made possible by Toyota of Naperville. Toyota of Naperville is the largest Toyota dealer in Illinois with hundreds of new and used vehicles in their inventory. Visit www.toyotaofnaperville.com or in person at 1488 West Ogden Avenue in Naperville, Illinois.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2019 Toyota Yaris. Up front is a 1.5 liter inline 4 and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. If you'd like to read more of my thoughts, head on over to carmarshal.com/overdrive where we're writing a complete article about the 2019 Yaris. But before we get into the engine and trans, this is sort of an interesting vehicle because this was actually built with a partnership with Mazda. So there's going to be a lot of Mazda stuff to talk about in the Yaris, but let's get back to that 1.5 liter inline 4. It's an economy engine. It's made to be built cheap. It has low horsepower, about 106 horsepower, and it's really made to get you to point A to point B. That's what the Yaris is for. And the reason I actually wanted to review a Yaris is because I always say that the Corolla, that's sort of the entry-level Toyota, but this is actually the entry-level Toyota. This is the cheapest Toyota you can buy at $15,000, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual. Now, I did not know that the Yaris still came in manual, and this is very much an economy manual and not like a fun, sporty manual. The clutch is very, very numb. It has almost no feeling in it, and the gearing is so tall. Once you're into third gear, the power band is pretty much out of sight, which is to be expected out of an economy car, a cheap entry-level stick-shift car. A little while back, I actually reviewed a Ford Fiesta with a 1 liter in manual, so I will leave a link to that at the end of the video if you'd like to see a similar economy car. This really feels like a Fiesta. So we'll do an acceleration test, but watching paint dry is a better spent activity. Yeah, it's not fast. You're not going to win any races with this, but in traffic, it's not that bad. Last but not least, the Yaris is front-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. This is where you really start to notice that this thing is really a Mazda with Toyota badges. In front of me, I have 3 different gauges. In the middle is my speedometer, which is an actual analog gauge. Then to the left, I get my tachometer. Now, what's interesting about this is it's probably the smallest tachometer I think I've ever seen in any car, but I'm so happy that I get one. Manufacturers love leaving tachometers out of cars when they are economy, when they're base, and that's not the case with the Yaris. You still get a tachometer, and that is absolutely awesome. One thing I really like about the tachometer gauge on the left is that it'll actually tell you when to skip shifts, but it doesn't force you to. So like right now, I'm just cruising in second. It has 2 arrow 3, basically telling me when to upshift, but it doesn't force me to, and I really like that. I really don't like skip shift systems like in Chevy products, the Chevy Camaro and the Chevy Corvette, where when you go first and you're just kind of not really on the throttle, there's actually a little arm that comes out and forces you into fourth. I don't like that, but the Yaris does not have that, and I really like that. Then to the right, I have my outside temperature, fuel range, and fuel gauge. Nothing really too crazy there. The steering wheel is a Mazda steering wheel, so we have the typical volume up, volume down on the left, as well as voice command and phone options. Then on the right, we have our cruise control settings. Normally, this is where radar cruise control would be on a Mazda, but the Yaris does not have radar cruise control, so we just have regular cruise control on and off, set and resume. To the left, I get a tiny little circular air vent. Then I get my window switches. The driver's window is 1 touch down, 1 touch back up, but that cannot be said about the other windows. Then we get to the center, which has the Mazda Infotainment System that I absolutely hate. Although they changed the color to blue, so I guess that's kind of neat, but I really don't like this infotainment system. I think it's clunky. I don't think it works very well. Newer Mazdas, you can get Apple CarPlay, but this is a Yaris, and you can't get Apple CarPlay. The interesting thing, though, is that there's still a navigation page, even though this car is not fitted with the navigation package. So you go to the navigation page, and it gives me my latitude, longitude, elevation, and a compass, which is kind of interesting and honestly kind of a screw you, because the screen knows exactly where I am. The screen knows exactly where I'm facing. It knows my latitude and longitude. All it's not giving me is the map. Literally, it has everything for it installed. It just needs the map. I kind of feel like that's punishing people for not paying more, but whatever. Down below the infotainment screen, we have our hazard switches as well as another vent. And then we have our climate controls. Nothing too crazy here. I think it's kind of interesting how there's actually a thermometer on the temperature. I'm not used to seeing this, but very average climate controls there. Then I get 2 USB ports and a 12-volt outlet. Then we get to the shifter. The shifter itself actually feels good. I really don't like the clutch feel. The clutch is very numb, but the actual shifter feel clunks into place, and I really like it. It is a 6-speed, and for reverse, you do push it down over to the left and up, which does turn on the backup camera. The Yaris does have a backup camera, which will be displayed up on the center screen. Then we come down to the joystick, as it will. This is how you control the infotainment system. This is pulled straight out of a Mazda. This is a Mazda part. And so you have your volume, you have your selector, home, music, navigation, all of that stuff. Nothing really crazy there. The seats are decently comfortable. They're not going to be as plush or as nice as a higher trim level vehicle, but they do the job, and honestly, I'm not uncomfortable by any means. They do have manual adjustments. They are not power seats. Again, another cost-saving spot, but I really can't complain about them. Speaking of seats though, this is a 4-door, so we will do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2019 Toyota Yaris, and I get absolutely no creature comforts. I get a window switch. That's really it. Only one seat back pocket. The seats sort of feel like a wetsuit, like neoprene or something like that. I don't get a center console. Legroom is okay. It's not the best. It's not really good. This is an economy car. This is an economy back seat. This is if you absolutely need to carry people. You can. If I could sum up this back seat with one sound, it'd be Notice the at the end though, which means it's not all that bad. Now we'll briefly talk about looks. I think the Yaris actually doesn't look that bad. I think it looks modern. I think it looks good. It looks exactly like what a modern economy car would look in my book. It's not trying to make any statements. It still has hubcaps and not alloy wheels. It's not trying to be something it's not. You know, if it were flame orange or Barbie pink, I think that would be sort of overstating the car itself. But because it's this sort of bland color, it's not too striking, it's not too crazy. I think it well suits itself. So let's talk about the Yaris as a whole. Like I keep saying, this is really a Mazda. Actually, in Puerto Rico and around the world, this is sold as the Mazda 2. It's sold under the Mazda badge in other places. And honestly, I don't mind the Yaris. It's not that fun of a car, even with a stick shift, which you guys know, I love stick shifts. I guess you can kind of bang gears, but even with a stick shift, this is not a fun car, but it is an entry-level car. Like I mentioned at the top of the review, this car is $15,000. And I'm sure you could find them for a little bit more expensive and a little bit cheaper. Of course, there's always going to be variables, but I'm so happy that there are still brand new cars that you can buy for $15,000. You know, really, we have this car, this and the Corolla, to thank for the brand new Toyota Supra. Because it's cars like this that give auto manufacturers the money to sell other cars that they're not going to make much money on. They probably don't make a whole lot of money off of the new Supras, contrary to popular belief. I know that they're expensive, but the amount of R&D that went into them and how limited production they're making, the Supra is not going to be a very, very profitable vehicle. But this is. They make these for cheap and they sell them for cheap. And they sell these to the masses. The Yaris might be slightly overlooked here, but they sell these in so many different countries. I'll put up on the screen if I ever get a final number of how many countries this car is sold in, because it's a lot. This is the bread and butter for Toyota. This is what brings home the bread. This is the moneymaker. I mean, really, truly. And honestly, it's not that bad of a car. No, it's not that fun or interesting, but it gets you where you need to go. It's not that bad looking. You can get them in manual. For $15,000, you could get a used BMW that's gonna probably break and be very expensive when it does, or you could buy this, and it's going to have a warranty, and it's going to have no miles on it. Pick your poison. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned something about the 2019 Toyota Yaris. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me drive their new Yaris. Thank you guys so much for also finding me a manual. I really, really appreciate that. I did not know that they came in manual until this morning. I came in, and the lady I work with, she goes, "Hey, I got you a manual." And I was like, ah. So thank you to Toyota Naperville. Their information's up on the screen. They have tons and tons and tons of these on the lot, and they're always getting new stock in. Definitely keep an eye out for that. But again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.
There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight.